1,000 feet, Jericho area. The Dead Sea is below. The Dead Sea is about 300 feet below sea level. So it's a steep climb. By the way, most pilgrims at the time of Jesus who came from the north and from the northeast came from Jericho. That's why.
No.
Is that very old?
What's that?
Is that new?
I think that's a little.
Hola, ¿me oyes? Look and see that we are actually nearby the harbor, right? They're still using the drinking water we see here it's relatively new. It was built by the British at the beginning of the 20th century. What I'm talking about, the natural reef you see behind it. You see those rocks sticking out of the water? And it goes from the rock with the flag much further left. So it's on the other side of that? On the other side of it. So in between here and the reef was the harbor, the ancient harbor of Joppa. And Hellenistic time, you heard about the Greek period, right? So the Greeks were here too. Alexander the Great, we'll talk also, again, more about that, but when the Greeks were here, so they, as you all know, they believed in idol, the story relates to Joppa if you want to hear. Sure? Of course. We know that it's a fiction, but you know. Okay. The story in the Greek mythology telling us about this vicious monster that lived in the sea, and the people of Joppa had to offer every once a year one of their daughters, a virgin daughter, to tie to the rock there. That's yeah. And then the monster came, grabbed her down into the water. Until it's a good indication, you know, not enough. Now tomorrow we'll be going. I don't think we'll do it today. Maybe tomorrow. Better. Caesarea. Caesarea by the sea. That will be probably the first place we'll go to. And remember, there was a Roman centurion there. His name was Cornelius. And he knew that Peter is here in Joppa. So he sent his men to look for him. And the instructions he gave them was you should look for Simon Peter. X marks the spot. Based on the facts we have on the ground, archaeology, history, and so we can say with all confidence this is the place. But in most cases we will talk about the area, and we also have what we call the traditional sites. The tradition said so, but we don't know if it's true. Can be, but we don't know. All right, so that's that should be like a 1.5. All right, that's like yeah. So we all know the story well, right? Peter, remember, came from the area of Lydda, which is not far from the airport, and he came and he raised the Dorcas, Tabitha, from the dead, and then he stayed many days with Simon the Tanner. And one night he went to the rooftop, and he had a vision, right, of the unclean meat descending from heaven. And remember, he was a Jewish man. And he didn't want to touch it in the vision, and because it is considered unkosher. Are you familiar with the kosher laws? Yeah. So we all understand the meaning. Well, God actually permitted him, right, to touch the unclean, and in other words, he said, you should also go not only to the Jews but to the non-Jews, to the Gentiles, and to spread out the good news. And that's exactly what he did. Peter, when he left here, he went to Caesarea by the sea. And the first pagan worshiper who came to faith was the Roman centurion Cornelius, together with all his household. So we can say, that here and later at Caesarea, the doors were open. Right? This is a very significant place. That's why you are here today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. 722 BC. The nation of Assyria had grown to be quite a superpower. Those of you who've taken core, we've talked about that. They had grown to be quite a superpower. And the nation of Assyria was coming down south into Israel and was overtaking Israel. And do you remember what God said to Jonah? Jonah, I want you to go where? To Nineveh. What was Nineveh? It was the capital city of Assyria. And so God was calling a Jewish man, Jonah, to go to Gentiles, to go to the foreigners, and to speak a message from God. And so Jonah, the reason that Jonah resisted is he had no desire to go to the enemies. And so it was out of Joppa that Jonah launched to the Gentiles. It was out of Joppa that Peter launched to the Gentiles. And I learned from you last time, it was a great connection. When Jesus speaks to Peter in Matthew chapter 16 and says, "Who do men say that I am?" and Peter answers, who does Jesus call Peter? Peter Bar Jonah, son of Jonah. So there is an interesting connection in Matthew 16 of the mission of Peter. Now Peter's father's name could have been Jonah, I suspect, right? The son of Jonah. But there's a great connection between Peter and Jonah, launched from the same place to take the gospel to the Gentiles.
Or because of that, maybe he gave him the title.
That's right, perhaps, yeah, gave him the title.
And he named Peter son of Jonah twice. The second time was, remember the story when Peter was restored, the restoration of Peter near by the Sea of Galilee, John 21. He asked him, Peter, son of Jonah, do you love me more than this? Son of Jonah.
Yeah.
All right, wow, it's getting crowded here.
It is. We got here just in time.
Yeah. So we'll go up, we'll continue up. Yeah, if you want a quick picture, yeah. No, ain't gonna
Yeah. Picture.
Oh my gosh, we're high where we were.
We are on top of the hill. Look at the statue here, very nice. It was made by an Israeli artist, Daniel Capri, and divided to 3 parts. Each part tells a different biblical story. Okay, would you like others to see it? Or, yeah? All right, so let's see. The first one, look at that.
Oh, yeah, very nice, very nice. That laser pointer's really helping you.
Leading edge.
Okay, next
just said manna.
Skywalker.
That's okay.
All right. So here you see a face, right? Yeah. It's a man, and you see his arms up, and he holds another figure here. Okay, and here we see a ram. So you can guess what it is. Abraham and Isaac, right? The bonding of Isaac, right? You see that? All right. This is Isaac here. All right. Here we see a man. He is on the right column. You see, he lays down on the ground. You see him. His head is here. And you see 2 figures of angels. One is upside down, ascending and descending. What? Yeah, the letter, deck of dreams, deck of letter, right? And above we see figures, guys walking with trumpets. and you see they're walking like in a circle. Look at this guy, he walks around, and if you go to the other side, you'll see them carrying something, the ark. Jericho, exactly. So they are walking around Jericho. Remember, on the seventh day, 7 times. You know. So why you choose those 3 stories? Because, as we know, both to Abraham and later to Jacob, with Israel, right? God promised that He will make them a great nation, right? And indeed, He kept His promise. He brought them out of Egypt and brought them to the promised land. And the first city they took was Jericho. So the promise was fulfilled as they came into the promised land and took Jericho. And later, as we know, some more. But again, not immediately. It took a while. Now the
There's a hotel. There's a couple I'm walking with. Look at each. This is the Mediterranean Sea. Our place is right up there. Time to get wet. Oh, the water's cold. It's really cold.
Good evening. Boker Tov, good morning. Yeah, we'll test your Hebrew by the end of the week. Sí. Buenos días.
Sí, señor. Buenos días.
Cappuccinos.
But you better start and learn Hebrew because that's the spoken language in heaven, you know that? Salavi.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to hand you those things, whisper net, okay, that you should wear around your neck. And please watch over it carefully. We will collect it at the end of the tour away from you. You'll get this thing and then an earpiece that goes with it that you need to connect, to plug it in, all right? We will collect it at the end of the tour without the earpiece. No, thank you. All right. So that's just yeah. All right.
17, I think.
Shalom, all y'all.
Supposed to take your hand away from you.
I know, I was going to say, it's hard to remember to do that.
No, I wasn't filming from the other side.
Ears.
Thank you.
There it is. Ears. Y'all better behave yourself. I'm not gonna listen. You get 3 strikes, and I think that's 1. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you. I'm gonna give you 1 right now, just for kind of a starter pack.
Starter pack.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good to know our pastor knows how to have
Are you awake this morning?
Yeah, not just
Yeah, the one we had, Actually, he retired and became the intern.
at church.
And finally, they found a new pastor, so he's retired. He's about my age, and it's so funny.
Okay, soon we will try, we will test it, make sure it works fine. So please, the earpiece, you should hear the click. Okay, that's as you plug it in. And make sure you're on 16, and soon we will try.
You're on candid camera.
She's videotaping us.
Yeah, so when I get really old, I can watch these again and go, oh, that was so much fun. My memory fails me.
Alright, you'll see the archaeological digs. So far, 20% of ancient Caesarea were uncovered. So 20, only about 20, yeah. But that's the way it is with most of the archaeological sites in the country. Usually you give first priority to where you